makes you so sick at heart that you can't take part. You can't even passively take part.
Liberal centrists are going apeshit over the latest Texas abortion ban and the possibility that Roe versus Wade could be repealed by the conservative dominated Supreme Court. Unfortunately, rather than show the necessary intelligence and self reflection to pin the blame on their absolutely horrible pick for a 2016 candidate, Hillary Clinton, instead, they are blaming the left. They are basically blaming anyone who did not vote for Hillary, who did not side with Hillary, who didn't close ranks with the Democratic establishment in 2016. So let's look at some of these tweets. Here we have Asha Rangappa, CNN analyst, with a Twitter description like this: Tiger-ish mom, lawyer, faculty, Jackson, Yale. This is, yeah, quintessential liberal centrist. Hey, Bernie bros, you did this, guys. Sorry, but someone had to say this. So, this is so ridiculous on so many levels. Because here's the thing. So, two facts. More Bernie Sanders supporters voted for Hillary Clinton in 2016 than Hillary Clinton supporters voted for Obama in 2008. If you want to talk about political temper tantrums, your fucking tribe is the worst. Now, second point. 100 million people who could have voted in the 2016 election did not vote. How can you blame the, however number of Bernie or bust people that ended up not voting for Clinton or who went and voted for Jill Stein or whoever? How many of those voters existed versus the 100 million people who sat out the election? Now, could you not have had a more appealing candidate than a freaking corrupt as fuck, corporatist, neoliberal, warmongering ghoul like Hillary Clinton? Could you not have had a better candidate than this? And maybe a tiny trickle of those 100 million who sat out the election may have been tempted to vote Democrat and thereby deny Trump his victory. I think those are the people who you should be more infuriated with, Asha. And there's also the point: why are you blaming the people who voted in the 2016 election when there are things the Democratic Party could do now, like right now, like this week, if it wanted to? Like, I don't know, expand the number of Supreme Court seats, which they could do if they wanted to. But that's not what liberal centrists do. Liberal centrists love to see the world burn, and then they blame everyone else except themselves for it. Because they are the sneering, condescending fuckheads who think they are entitled to govern, entitled to rule, entitled to determine everything about everyone's lives, yet take no accountability for when they fail. That's why I can't stand liberal centrists. I fucking hate them. And this, a tweet like this pretty much summarizes everything I hate about these people, especially their hypocrisy and their lack of self-reflection. Let's look at another one. Jill Filipovich. Good work, everyone who voted Trump or Jill Stein in 2016 or didn't vote or undermined Clinton from the left because the Supreme Court doesn't really matter and it'll be fine. Abortion vigilantes in Texas, thank you for your support. Now, two things about this tweet. First is it's a response to a very stupid tweet from Brianna Joy Gray, who I also thoroughly dislike. And in that sense, I do not disagree with the criticism of Brianna Joy Gray's dismissal of this idea that the Supreme Court isn't really that important. And this is the same argument that everyone in the Jimmy Dore sphere gave in 2016. And they have been proved wrong, completely wrong. So on that point, I do agree. Having said that, I do not blame Jimmy Dore or Brianna Joy Gray or anyone else in this dum-dum left orbit for Hillary Clinton losing. Because again, this was a tiny amount of people. Like let's just imagine that all of Jimmy Dore's, I think he has almost 900,000 YouTube followers. Just even if those 900,000 would have voted Democratic Party, but Jimmy Dore convinced them not to. Even that is tiny compared to the 100 million who didn't vote. So it would be patently unfair. And as you know from my channel and all the videos that I've made of Jimmy Dore, I have, there's no love lost here. Okay, I absolutely despise him. I think he's a cancer of the left, and I tend to think the same of people like Brianna Joy Gray, even if they're less vulgar and less dramatic than people like Jimmy Dore. But they're all the same. But they're not the reason why Hillary Clinton lost. I don't blame them for Hillary Clinton losing, because I don't think the amount of people that they swayed was nowhere near as much as the amount of people who did not vote just because they didn't see any decent candidate. And that is ultimately, aside from this legitimate criticism of Brianna Joy Gray's tweet, the rest of this, this idea that just everyone who didn't vote Hillary Clinton is now responsible for the abortion fiasco in Texas, this is absolute nonsense. It is bullshit, and it needs to be called out. And these people need to be reminded of what kind of candidate the Democratic Party chose to run on in 2016. And if you didn't get a candidate who could sway that at least a tiny fraction of that mass of 100 million people who didn't vote, then I'm sorry, you deserved it. You absolutely. This is on you, liberal centrist. This is on you. It's not only on you from historical perspective on what could have happened in 2016. It's on you for what you could be doing now, because you are in power. You control the White House. You control both chambers of Congress, and you can't get shit done. Because that's the underlying element of your ideology. Or rather, it's not even ideology. It's not an ideology. It's a worldview. It's a worldview based on how to stay in power. That's what liberal centrism is. It's not an ideology. And the underlying element of that is to do nothing. Because you stand for the status quo. You don't want things to change. And you're so obsessed with any kind of radical change that all you want is incrementalism that leads to nowhere. So they're not going to do it. They're not going to expand the court. I will die on this hill. I don't see Joe Biden ever pushing for something that radical as expanding the court. And they'll find a million excuses. I mean, they can't even get a friggin' infrastructure bill passed, for Christ's sake. You think they're gonna do something as monumental as expanding the court, even though they're perfectly capable of doing it? They have no limitations whatsoever in doing this. Unbelievable. This is unbelievable. And yeah, I've seen other. I know who Reza Aslan is. I wouldn't go so far as to call him a liberal centrist. Maybe he is. I don't know. I just know him basically from like atheist debates from the mid noughties. So I don't know if he's a liberal centrist, but yeah, if you voted for Jill Stein, you did this. No, you didn't. Now the good thing is that these people have been called out for their really shit takes. There's a lot of people who have made some very very strong replies against these people. So, and of course, you also have the other deranged liberal centrist replying on just how bad Bernie was and things like that. I mean, these people just don't want to accept that they are responsible for this mess. that they should have picked a better candidate in 2016, that should have run on better policies than just I'm not Trump, because that's literally what Hillary Clinton ran on I'm not Trump, because she proposed absolutely nothing that would have been remotely transformative. There was no sympathy whatsoever for any of the US's structural problems, which her fellow liberal centrists have been complicit in. The problems with the US are bipartisan. They're not because the Republicans are evil. No, both sides are fucking evil. The United States does not have any kind of like major policy difference between the two main parties when it comes to issues like economics, when it has to do with political governance, for example, like I don't know, campaign finance reform, things like that. There's hardly any difference between them. So that's the result. That's what you get. People pissed off who vote for Trump. And I will concede, I will give people who voted for Trump in 2016 the benefit of the doubt that they did it for the sake of, you know, a big fuck you to the establishment. Not so much in 2020, when I think they all knew what Trump really was about. But in 2016, I do think a lot of people voted with genuine intentions that he was going to shake things up. But the Democrats had no answer to that. And this is the risk. This is what happens. So, liberal centrist, man up or woman up and own it. Take the L. Accept that you fucked up. Don't blame Bernie for this. Don't be cowards. But I doubt they're going to do that. Yeah. If you like this video, please like, please share, and most importantly, please subscribe. And thank you for watching.